Okay, so you did commercial work. You were 4, you said? It's like
No, I
wait.
took an interest. Are we starting?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'm kind of just trying to warm up into it, and then we'll.
No, I was. I think I was about 4 or 5. I was at my grandmother's house, and I was watching something on PBS. It was a ballet,
Really?
and it was Mikhail Baryshnikov. Do you know who that is?
No, I don't.
He did some movies with like Gregory Hines back in like. Has a train coming like right now?
Yeah.
Which is absolutely perfect
Yep.
for what we got to do. So.
The rail is like right outside.
Oh, no,
it's like right there.
This is funny. I'm gonna say something really profound and let's get cut off by a train.
Yeah.
So I was 4 or 5 and I was watching this thing on PBS. I was just watching TV at my grandma's house, and it was Mikhail Baryshnikov, who's a very like world famous professional ballet dancer, and he was doing something, and I was watching this, and I was just enamored with it. You know, just with like his strength, the masculine strength, and doing something which was like, you know, very unique for a man to do. So I remember taking an interest in that at a young age, you know, and like I remember asking my mom, like, hey, can I try dancing? And that's where that started. And it was just watching this man do something which was just so like, I don't know, for me it felt very profound. Like it was like this strength and this grace and this movement, and it was very aesthetic. So I loved it. I absolutely loved it at the time. Yeah, and you know that, and easily transitioned into doing something with theater, and then I got interested in acting, and then I started doing television commercials when I was very young too. So I started doing those up until you know, into my teen years. But then, you know, along with that, like we had my family. My mother was she had her master's in music education and music performance. And then my father played classical guitar and was always into music, drums, classical guitar, and all that. And we had a band in our house when I was a kid. So it was just around artists and art like all the time as a young person, you know. So my parents had a rock band. We toured around to like the eastern United States in a school bus, you know, and lived on the road, you know, for a long time. And, you know, it was like pretty wild growing up with that, you know. So it started young, and it just kind of stayed like the art and creative side of things always was like a part of, you know, who I am and where my life is, you know, and what I was just always interested in. Art one way or another, it didn't matter what it was. Yeah.
Fascinating.
So, yeah.
Okay, so getting exposed to all this at a very young age. I mean, did you have other like friends, like kids around you that were, I guess, like in a sort of creative environment like this, on the road, living a different lifestyle?
So the band. So let's look at that. Like, so my parents started this band. It started out as a band called Europa, which was named after one of the moons of Jupiter. My father being heavily influenced by 2001: Space Odyssey.
Nice.
You know, New Life, something like that. Like, there's a metaphorical thing you had in there. They ended up changing it because there was another band named Europa around the time. So they changed it to this band called Drive, She Said, and set up a practice room in the house. It was right below my bedroom. So I'd go to sleep at night, and I'd hear just like, you know, the Pretenders. They're doing a cover song, but you hear the thumping Pretender song like all night long. You're like trying to sleep, and they're up practicing till like 2 in the morning, you know. But the band, pretty much the band lived at our house. It was Gary, Dave, Sue, Spock, Dave Spilecki. Joel was in and out as a drummer and had a couple different drummers. And then my parents. And then Jammer. Jammer was, I forget his name. His nickname was Jammer. He was the roadie. Pretty wild guy. But they all lived in the house. And then there was a young girl that was my age, was Sue, the lead singer. It was her daughter, Amy. And her and I were at the same age, so we would play and hang out together. I have no siblings, so I was only child. So we all ended up going on tour on the bus at some point. My parents bought a old school bus, yellow school bus, and converted it into a tour bus, like ripped everything out, like put the seats, the tables, the whole thing in there. They put some bunk beds in the back with couch cushions they used for the bed for Amy and I, so we can sleep in the back. And then they had like other pull-out beds and all this crazy conversion stuff coming out of it. And then they would just go gig to gig to gig, you you know, and play festivals to shows to hotels to bars, be an opening band, be a headlining band on things. You know.
Nice.
They got us on stage singing backup. So we're like 5 years old. There's a couple songs that they would do. They needed like these high chorus parts. So we were young kids, and they're like, "Great, we'll bring you out." And I was like, "Oh, cool! I get to be in a band." And then my mom forced me to wear a bow tie and like Easter outfit. She's like, "Well, you look cute," you know. And I was like, "I'm gonna be in a rock band." So that was my first exposure. I'm like at 5, I'm up on stage singing in front of the audience in the back. I think one of the songs was it was Tears for Fears, Shout. You get to sing the chorus part. So they had me and Amy sit in the back singing the chorus part. It was great. The audience loved it. They're like, "Oh, look at these cute kids." And my parents would usher us off and send us a hotel room because it's like 11 o'clock at night with 0 babysitters. They're like, "Go watch TV. You'll be fine. Lock the door. Don't answer it." You know?
Wow.
Here's some chips for dinner, you know? Wild times, man. It's definitely different.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what you grew up. That's what we grew up with.
Wow.
I don't know what I came of anybody else in the band. The band broke up. That happened because I think they got tired of touring. Our parents had actually what happened was an interesting story. Is they got a deal, some kind of record contract, but I think it required, from what I understood, it required them to move to Texas. And we were in upstate New York off of Lake Erie, this little town called Dunkirk. And my dad came back with like a contract with the band after like this big tour they did for like 9 months.
Can you hold the mic up a little bit?
Yeah.
Just a little closer. Thanks.
So right here is okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So they did this, they came back with a contract after this long like 9-month tour. And he came back to the band and he's like, "Look, we're going to do this." And the band's like, "We're too tired. We miss our families. We're not sure we want to stick with this." I guess a whole series of upsets happened because of it, and nothing ever came of it, which was really kind of sad. You know, it was like the band that never was to some degree or another.
Wow.
But no, I grew up with it, man. I mean, it was all part of who we were. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And it all just felt like normal to you, just normal childhood, like at the time at least, maybe. Like
we don't know any different.
Wow.
Yeah, like as a young person like that, like you're like you come into this life and you're like, okay, and this is like your family, and that was your family, like this whole band, my parents, you know, like where we lived, the lifestyle of it. You just think that's normal, you know. It's like, you know, I got married to Ashley, and the first right before we got married, the first time when we were dating, I went over to her parents' house and they made dinner, and they wanted to meet me. And only the reason why I'm bringing this is just a contrast to what it is. She made like this formal dinner, and it was like formal place settings and like this whole protocol, and it was very nice and it was very casual, but like still she was like very formal as a host of the house. And I never experienced that before at 19 years old in my entire life. And so like that was normal for Ashley. It was not normal for me. Like it was a new experience, and like it probably was normal for a lot of people, but that it wasn't us. You know, that wasn't the family. So in contrast, you're like, well, that's my normal, what I think is a normal thing, you know? But you're exposed to different things, you know, different ways of living.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of, that version of normal for you, do you think it maybe set you up for life in a way that those who maybe had the status quo normal maybe didn't? Like, you know, being on the road, touring, you know, living that kind of lifestyle, do you think it maybe set you up to, I don't know, hypothetically be maybe more of a risk taker, maybe be more bold, maybe how you deal with people, does that make sense? Like, do you think it maybe set you up in that way a little differently than most people?
No, I think you just look at things through your own lens. You know, you see your opportunities as different opportunities because of what is real to you. I think that's just really all it is. It's like there's certain things that are real to certain people and not. You know, like I own and run a business right now that is a creative agency. All right, you do like web, graphic, video, this whole thing. You know, even just owning a business wouldn't be, you know, in someone else's wheelhouse. They might have no interest in doing that. So I think it kind of shifts. No, I'm not say it shifts. It just what you perceive and how you see things is this different than someone else? You know, like, and then where you might find interest in something or success, you know, where you get validation within things and acknowledgement. You know, sometimes you drive more towards that because you're like, oh, well, there's a reward in something in that area, you know, and another person's reward could be is totally different. So it's kind of to each their own. Because I don't want to make it seem like it's like one's better than the other. It's really not. It's just whatever you decide to do with your life. And as you get exposed to things, and as someone reads or goes experience, it opens up horizons or limits horizons for them, depending on what that is. You know, and it's what you decide to do with it. You know, you know, like I was just telling the other day, we were just talking about The Rock, right?
Yeah.
You know, he's probably one of the most famous people in the world at this moment, right? Most well-known and recognized and hardworking person, but like he was exposed to a myriad of famous people when he was a young person. That was real to him. You could be famous. You could make a great living, you know, entertaining other people or providing something to them in one way or another and giving to them. So that he saw it as an opportunity, I imagine, as a younger person. So does that drive you? Could be. If that's where your interests are, yeah, it totally could. You know, yeah. I don't know if it shapes you one way or the other, man. I think it's just who you are. I think it's as simply as that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's part of your track. It's part of your experience.
Yeah. Do you think we tend to like maybe overcomplicate? Just like maybe we look at like our past and our journey, because it's like it's a good, I think, simplistic view on life. It's kind of like, yeah, it's just who you are. I wonder if, especially nowadays, if we tend to try and overcomplicate, we overthink, we look at our journey, our past, our struggles, and we think we have to be a certain way or we are a certain way. You know what I mean? Like, do you think like just kind of looking at it, just like just looking at life that way, just like living normal? Like, do you think that's trying to put this into words, like to not overcomplicate, I guess is what I'm saying, our struggles, our journey. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
it's, I look like my personal attitude is, you know, keep things really simple for yourself. Everything else is really complicated.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of things I don't have control over. There's a lot of chaos and randomness in the world in and of itself. So like I have my universe and my world that I live in, and I'd look at just trying to keep it as simple as possible, you know, and can control what I control and let things, you know, be what they are. If I can't control it or I decide not to, like that's fine. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. I'm not really big on looking back. I'm not really big on reflection. I've never really been. I think there are times that you get into like troubles and problems and you kind of go like, oh, you know, I could have, should have, would have. But I think that only just adds to any regret. It's like the moment you have right now is the only thing that you have. You know, yesterday already happened. Tomorrow hasn't happened. So like, I don't know, why worry about any of it? You know, and then you can have worries of like, am I going to make enough money? Is it going to, you know, is this thing going to pan out? Or, you know, but you can do an action now to make a difference for tomorrow. So I don't know. I can't live too much into a struggle or a past because I know what my life was. It was not easy. But I don't want anybody playing a violin for me of like, you know, how bad it was. You're like, people have it even worse, you know? So you really make the best of the tools you have and the resources you have and just, you know, can I make a difference right now? Okay. And if I can't, then how can I do that? You know, how can I find the tools to do that? Okay, and then you plan to do that. I mean, I think it's just as simple as that. Yeah, I'm kind of a simple idiot, dude. I really am. I don't like making things complicated. Yeah. You know, and I don't worry about the consequences of things because I just try to come from the viewpoint of the decision I'm going to make right now, is this the right thing for and the benefit for everybody? And if it is, I go, okay, good. You know, even if it like destroys one small thing, but it makes a greater benefit for a lot of other things, I go, well, that's probably the best thing that I could do. Yeah. You know, and I'm just trying to do the best I can.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Well, especially because you brought up A Squared, your company that you've run now for about 17 years now.
Yeah, I think thereabouts. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you did you have that sort of mindset like from the start? Is that something you kind of had to like learn over that period of time, helping you as a leader, leading a team, running a business?
Yeah, because I can worry about like mistakes I made throughout the business, and then it can slow me down or be a detriment or make you gun shy on the next decision.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of keep going ahead.
Yeah.
In a very simple way. And granted, when I started A Squared Studio, I had no idea what I was doing. No clue. I mean, I was selling product. That some of it I didn't know how to get to the finish line on that. But you figure it out. You figure it out along the way, and you just keep trying to make the best product and delivery you can for your clients. Yeah, like I said, it's pretty simple. You just keep going and keep learning and keep learning and keep learning, and every experience you have adds to your knowledge. And even something that's bad, you can learn from that. And go, oh, okay, well, what can I get out of this? What can I do better next time? How can I improve? How can I make the best product that I can make?
Yeah.
And the best kind of delivery I can make. Just focus on that, and then everything else kind of falls into place. All the other noise and all the other crap kind of starts working out because you're driven towards that operating goal.
Yeah.
Like being in service to helping somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we get paid for the work that we do. There's compensation for it, but I get way more joy out of doing something I know it's actually going to help.
Yeah.
It's going to be a benefit. Like when I have a client call me out of the blue and be like, hey, you made us this website and it helped us get a return like X, it turned our conversions from this to this statistically. I go, well, then it did its job. And then I feel proud of that because it actually helped this company somewhere else in some other state or some other location do better, and provide a living and then provide for their employees. So it's like it contributed to that. And I go, that's great. There's some small contribution on our part that helps that grow.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that idea too of just sort of like taking action without even without, I don't want to say without a plan, but without even worrying necessarily about consequences. Cause I think part of my struggle was once I decided I wanted to be a creative and run my own business, I fell into this sort of analysis paralysis. I spent a lot of time like trying to read, listen to podcasts, watch interviews with successful CEOs and filmmakers, which is not a bad thing, but I think I would kind of overcompensate for not just sort of trusting myself, going with my gut and making a decision and making a move. And I think that maybe kind of held me back in a lot of ways. Yeah.
There's this, I read this interview with John Frusciante. He's the guitar player for Red Hot Chili Peppers, and he was in and out from the 90s up until present over the years, in and out of the band. It was a fabulous interview. He said that, as a young musician, he studied musical theory heavily. He's a great guitarist, he's fabulous. But he's like, I studied it, and I started applying it to what I was writing in my music. But he goes, I found it to be a hindrance, like it held me back. So he goes, I let go of that and then just started creating. And I just started writing whatever I thought would sound really great. And he goes, the musical theory that I had was then allowing me to fill in the gaps to make it better. And I think that's what happens. Like and then I'm just using this as an example of just like overanalyzing what one's doing, and just get into, all right, I know this, just get into creating, and then that knowledge you have can, I think, on the back end of something, improve it. But it's just letting that creative part out. There's like Brian Eno and David Byrne from the Talking Heads, right? Mm-hmm. And when the Talking Heads were taken off, and they were working with Brian Eno as a producer, I think on their second album, the two of them got together and they actually started doing like their own music, and they just experimented in the studio. they were taking like old guitar cases and boxes and making percussion out of it and looping this stuff and making noise and hammering away on a piano and guitars and all that stuff. And it was a book I was reading called How Music Works by David Byrne. And he talks about, they didn't know what they were doing at the time. I mean, these are two like super famous, incredibly talented people that I admire very, very much. And they had no idea where it was going to go. And then it started kind of evolving and turning into something else they didn't anticipate, and it was better than what they thought. And I thought there was something to learn from that, of just experimenting and playing and enjoying the moment of creating something that never, ever existed before. It's like, you can make a short film, and I can make a short film. And they might be of the same subject, right? Maybe the same kind of story, but each one of them is going to be totally different. It's going to be our own take and our own viewpoint on it. And while you might compare like, oh, they're so similar or they're the same topic, neither one of them existed before, and they are of our own creation. And you have to kind of validate that whatever you're doing hasn't existed before, and that's a cool way to look at it, I think. This moment in time, this thing, this painting, this song, this film, this shot, it never existed. This is what I have made, and that's cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's cool because, like, I think you can never run out of ideas, of stories to tell, of songs to write, movies to create. And what amazes me is that oftentimes, especially in rock and roll, it all comes down to like 3 chords or even with film, I think, what do they say? There's only like 35 or 40 different types of stories.
Is that right?
I think so, yeah. I wish I had something in front of me to back it up, but I think there was actually a book written about that or something like that. And it's sort of just like all these sort of like basic principles in any art or any medium where there really isn't that many, but there's limitless capabilities and styles and methods to create something new every single time.
Yeah, but it's also like the driving force. Like, what's the intention behind that? Like, yeah, you can say we'll use your example. You have 35 or 40 different types of stories to tell. But what is the drive behind it? What's the intention? Is it to make a financier happy? Because they finance the movie and then they have a say in that story? Or are you trying to figure out what you want to communicate, how you want to say it? Music runs into that a lot. There's, financial hurdles one has to get through, hey, I got to pay my mortgage. I have bills to pay. I have a family to take care of. They're all considered points of doing this. So you got to go out and produce, and you can do something, but it can make you generate some income and sustain your life. But then there's also a point of, am I saying what I want to say with this too, and communicating something with it? And I think that opens up more possibilities.
Yeah.
I think it opens up a lot more possibilities. Yeah, a lot of music comes down to 3 or 4 chords. I go, is someone saying something with that? And if they are, I think that's great. Right. I love like Queens of the Stone Age. I love them.
Yeah, me too.
Interesting tuning, interesting approach to doing things. They're playing straight up raw rock, man. It really is, but it's beautiful stuff because they're able to kind of play with the concept more. Like Songs for the Deaf. Yeah. Great album,
Great
right?
album.
We're going on 22 years on old, that album, by the way.
Wow.
Which makes me feel super old. But they went to a pawn shop and bought all musical instruments from a pawn shop because they really wanted to sound pretty raw and pretty dirty, but they were able to just take that concept of that rock and like spin it on its head and make this really raw sound with the whole thing, which was very, very unique. And from there, I think that's where you find that unique sound that they have, which is great. Yeah. But they want to say something with it. They want to be like raw and unbridled and just let it out and let these emotions out pretty rawly and let you pick it up. Like, here it is. Just take it for what it is. And I think it's great.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that kind of reminds me too. I think now more than ever, I think this isn't quite new, but I've noticed like recently, maybe in the past 5 or 10 years, there's just been this sort of extra craving for nostalgia. Like, You remind me. There's one band called Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats, and it's a funny name, but they record entirely on old vintage instruments from the 70s.
Really?
Yeah, even the vocals, like it sounds very, like it sounds old, like it sounds like somebody is like just making noise through like an old like typewriter or something like that. I don't know how to describe it. I should check it out, but I kind of like it because I like the idea of, I don't want to say like old, but or vintage, but classic, maybe tradition. It's funny that last guest I had on, my buddy Dustin Hopkins, he considers himself a futurist, and in a way I kind of consider myself the opposite. I love going back, listening to old records, watching old movies, getting inspiration from them. And I think you do too. I think that's at least where I stand. I love, I'm just marveled by what people did, like in times that I wasn't even born, actually. But there's just so much to marvel at in those eras. Yeah.
I mean, if it's a good story, it's a good story. If it's a great song, it's a great song.
Mm-hmm.
I just watched last night The Fifth Element. 1997, that movie came out. I was telling Ashley this morning, I was having a cup of coffee before I came here, and I was like, that movie still is a fabulous movie. It still holds up. The world building in it is unbelievable. The costuming, even at the time, even now looking at how they did some of the animations, where you see CGI now and then it's vastly different, but it still holds up because it says what it needs to say. And the standards are different now and the technology is different but it still really works well. So if it's good, it's good. If there's stuff that's happening now, it's good. That's awesome too. It's just different. But you talk about nostalgia. I mean, that's interesting. I think every decade we go through this nostalgia of 30 years prior kind of creeping up. How much Nirvana stuff do I see now? How many people do I see now that are of my age that grew up with that are like, oh, I remember the day, I remember that concert, I remember this thing. Let's look back on that and reflect. And I go, it's interesting. I mean, if the stuff's good, the stuff's good. It's just, I mean, dude, anytime I have I have a couple guilty pleasures for movies. Starship Troopers is one of those. You remember Starship Troopers?
Yeah.
It is not a good movie. It is just not. But if it's on, I'll be like, yeah, I'll watch that.
Yeah.
Anytime. It's campy, it's goofy, it's over the top. It's the saccharine story. It's basically a full recruitment video that you're watching to recruit you to go fight bugs in interstellar battles. And I'm like, this is great. It's just so over the top camp. But if it's good, it's good. I mean, there's a lot of stuff now I think that's pretty fabulous. I think with music now, because of what you have with accessibility to things, and even film, I think you have a lot more resources at your disposal as someone starting out. I think you do get kind of overrun with the number of choices that you have, but I think you still have access to things which you didn't have 20 years ago or 30 years ago. You get guys like Robert Rodriguez who were shooting on 8mm and 16mm film with not Desperado, El Mariachi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
It was literally him and a camera and an actor, and he's just figuring out how to film this on the fly. You don't get a lot of that.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of that now.
Right.
But he didn't have access to a lot of the things that we have access to now.
Right.
And I think we have a lot more resources, many more tools at our disposal to do that.
Yeah. We absolutely do. I mean, I think I'm an example of that. I mean, this equipment that we're all running on these cameras, I mean, they range in the 2 to 4K range max each. And then the lenses are maybe another $1,000. I mean, can imagine doing this even 20 years ago when, I guess the cheapest cinema camera you had was probably a Red, and that starts at 20, 40K, something like that. So it's a lot more, the playing field is a lot more leveled now in terms of who has access, and, it's more brought to the masses, which I think it is a good thing. It's, a lot more creative endeavors and careers can be pursued, like, again, myself. I think now the challenge, excuse me, comes into, like, what you were talking about. You have all this equipment, you have all these tools, but can you tell a good story? Can you create something that has intent and meaning behind it,
Yeah, that's what you do with it. Yeah, like what can you do with what you got now?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great because there's so many talented people out there. Mm-hmm. And I firmly believe every person has, one really great story in them, one really beautiful song, or, a short film even that they can do, or a short story, or something really beautiful. And it's like, there are opportunities to do that now. And I think that's great. I think that's really great. It's unfortunate, though. I think we've been kind of fractured a bit into like our own pockets, and we have things that are not allowing us to talk and work together and collaborate together as much as you might have, because you had to be creative in what you had, and now we have so much access to so many things. I also think it waters down like our ability to kind of collaborate and work together more. I see more musicians going into studios, at home studios, and working by themselves in isolation, where I've seen the greatest success for a lot of people over the years is where they find someone to partner with, even if they're working remotely, but it's someone to partner with because you have someone to work with and collaborate and share ideas with, and, even if you just have one person to bounce that off of, or to like give some insight, or to bring something to the table and vice versa, and exchange back and forth off of that, I think you can make a better product out of that, a better piece, a better art piece off of that. And it's almost like the mentor-student type relationship too. Yeah. It's like, the mentor can learn something from you too.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about that. I didn't see it that way. And the student too can get that, and you build that relationship, and like it's almost like the mentor's helping you collaborate with you on like making something new, whether it be a business, art piece, like whatever.
Yeah.
How did we get to all that?
I think we were talking about access to tools
access
and equipment, but that's a good point too, because I really love the dynamic of the mentorship and apprenticeship. It fascinates me. I don't know why. For some reason, like, I've always been interested in that subject. Like, thinking back to, like, all the movies and shows that I would watch, my favorite character would always be the old mentor, like whether it was like Gandalf or
with Gandalf first.
Yeah. I think like it's fresh in my mind because I was
that guy bounced for like a whole movie and a half, so he was like, I'm out, you guys deal with it on your own. Maybe that is a good mentor, I don't know.
Possibly, yeah. You figure it out.
I cut you off, man, go ahead.
No, you're good. No, yeah, but yeah, or trying to think of other examples. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Star Wars, that's a mentor. I don't know, maybe it goes back to, maybe I am like an old soul type of thing. I aspire to that. But I think what I've noticed, because I also did martial arts growing up, and I was around a lot of mentors. And now going into business, I've had a lot of good mentorship, and I would consider you a mentor as well. And I think the traits of a good mentor or a master, you could even word it that way, is they don't view themselves as a master in that regard. They look at it as, to them, it's not finite. The creative journey is endless. I am the lifelong apprentice, I think, is their viewpoint. I think that's what separates as Stephen Pressfield in The War of Art would call it, the amateurs from professionals. They're constantly seeking more and trying to learn more and trying to do better.
Yeah, I think that's a simple philosophy, is that you know that you don't know, right? And it's forever the student. Yeah. And it's like you get to a certain pinnacle point. It's like you move these kind of conditions of like, as someone who's a novice or new to something, and you work through these kind of arbitrary levels to get to a point where you feel like there's some kind of more competence in it and confidence in what one is doing. I think one can I think there's almost a responsibility to share that with someone else to help them on that journey of what they're doing, right? But yeah, I think you're perpetually a student. I'll always be a student. I think you're always going to learn something new or something different out of it. You know, Chick Corea, one of the most famous pianists and composers in the world. The guy's won the most Grammys out of anybody, right? I think it's something astronomical, like 30 some odd Grammys or whatever. He won one posthumously just after he passed away. He won a Grammy for his album that he released that year. But I have read a couple of his books, and he is always talking about being a student and exploring, you know, and always learning something new. Alan Silvestri, he wrote scores for like Back to the Future. Yeah. That was one I could think of off the top of my head. I follow him on Instagram. There was something a couple months back. He was like forever a student, and he's learning this Baroque piece. Wow. And the progressions and the melodies, and like trying to understand the theory of that as a student. I mean, this guy is probably one of the most famous movie composers in the world, you know, and in high demand. Oh, he did the Avengers. Yeah. Avengers, all the Avengers stuff, yep. Right? I mean, he's the A-list of A-list stuff that he's doing, but he's still like, I'm a student, you know, and I admire that a lot. I really, really do, because it's like, you know, it's not this arrogance, like, I figured it all out.
Right.
Did you? Because you know, these people that I admire, they didn't. They figured out a lot. They figured out probably a vast majority of it, but there's always something to glean, you know, from something new. There's always going to be something new that comes out. There's a new way to work, a new process, a new sound.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's fun, though, too. I mean, it's like, you know, it feels like it's infinite. It feels like there's infinite future within all that. You know, if all of a sudden you're like, I figured it all out, I'm like, that's kind of a hard stop.
Yeah.
What do you do with that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then there's no reason at that point. There wouldn't be any reason, I think, to keep creating. I think part of what makes this so fun and interesting for all of us is that there's always something more. There's always something more to do. Once you hit that cap, it's like, well, what next? I think as humans, we find a joy in challenge, you know, and learning. I think it's this insatiable desire for more, for growth.
Well, that's the journey is the destination kind of way of doing things. Yeah. It's I think there's a joy in finding out what you're capable of too, because I don't think we all really know what we're fully capable of.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think it's that discovery of that too, to make something and be proud of that and look at it and go, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't think people go in with a full, complete idea of like, I figured it out and I have it all handled, because if you did, it would have been done by now. So that's part of that too, and that's part of that discovery of going through it and the hurdles of it and the barriers of it. And I think there's joy in overcoming those things. There's like total joy in it. You're like, and it sucks sometimes. It's really can be hard. You're like, I don't know where I'm gonna go with this. Like you and I filmed a piece together.
Yeah.
I have never. I'll take that back. I think once or twice I did this in college, but like wrote like some small pieces, but I had never done something collaborating with someone, writing music for film. So it was an interesting exercise for me, because I'm like, can I do this? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can. And you get into it and you start making and creating sounds and doing things with it, and you have these false starts and you kind of work through it and you try to find the right voice for it as you do it. But there's like these like, I don't know if I can, these doubts, is this right? I don't know. And you kind of struggle through it, but you still have this goal of like trying to get to the thing. And you're like, can I make the best piece I can possibly make with what I know? And the point I'm making is that there was a lot of fun in that at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. That was fun for me too, because I wasn't used to editing for like a score. Like I was always like, you know, I would go to my music library or whatever database I was using, and you know, that's the finished piece. That's what you got to work with. I never had that collaborative effort of somebody building a score to what I'm working on, and then maybe I adjust to that, or vice versa, you adjust to that. It's interesting, and I think in general, collaborative efforts isn't something. I mean, when I was in film school, there was a bit of that, but also the idea of like partnership, like you mentioned that, and us partnering together on this project, as well as more projects to come, which we'll definitely talk about that. It's it's a new way of doing things, and I think there's accountability is a part of it. There's creative accountability. There's feedback. There's giving a second voice, because sometimes we can be our own worst critics, and you may think at first like this person who you're working with is going to maybe give you a hard time. I think for me at least, I'm the hardest on myself. Like, I'm my own worst critic. Sometimes it's good to have a voice kind of be like, no, I think this is working well, so that again I don't fall into that analysis paralysis. So it's fascinating. I think there's a lot more that can be done. I think as individuals, as artists, we can create some amazing things, but in a partnership, like you said, sky's the limit. I think there's a lot more we can do there. Yeah.
There is, because I think it opens you up to new perspectives.
Yeah.
New ways of looking at things. Working with this client right now, we're doing a video for, and it's like for a fundraiser, right? And the client came to us with a script after they had hired us, and we were going to be doing like more research during the project. And I was like, all right, I'll look at this. And it was like, okay, but it was like forcing a voice where it didn't need to force a voice into something. And the only reason this is an example is collaboration, because I take that approach with our clients, like as a collaboration point. So I said, I read it in front of it. I gave it to me at the meeting, and I was like, let me read this. It's just like 5 minutes reading through. It's a short piece. It's like 3 minutes long. So I read through it, and I put it down, and I said, what do you think of it? I wanted to see I didn't want to say anything. I didn't like it. And I didn't want to be rude either. And I said, what do you think of it? And they're like, it falls flat, and they're like, it had this kind of like savior complex kind of vibe to it of the way it was being communicated, and they didn't want to come across that way for this nonprofit organization, right? And I was like, I get it. I said, let me show you a couple examples of some stuff we've done, right? So I showed them 2 pieces. And I said, these are more self-narrated stories. And so instead of forcing the message, you're letting the message come out of the people that you're interviewing. And you'll find some really beautiful things in there that they say if you have just an open dialogue through these interviews, right? And you can then kind of form the message more on some of those edit points, right? And so the point I'm making is they never saw it that way. They just saw it as this very linear thing, and it's like locked in, and that's it. And it can be like that when you're making a film. It's like you're locking in and like this is your shoot day and all that stuff. But like this is a little bit more organic. Like let's kind of find and discover what's going to happen with it. And they kind of had a moment for themselves too of like, I never saw it that way. And then it opened the door to so many more opportunities. So I'm just backing up what you're saying is like when you say the sky's the limit, you're like, yeah, that kind of does that. Yeah. It helps that along the way if you're willing to just look for a second. Like, does this or does this not fit with what the goal is? And if it does, that's great. We take this attitude with our clients, like we do like brand for clients, right? And I want to collaborate with them. I said, look, nothing's off the table when we first start talking. So let's put everything out. Any of the ideas you have, I know you're thinking of concepts. That's why you showed up here, is you have something in your mind. You have a picture or a concept or something like that. I said, let's put this down and like see if this actually aligns towards your goals and your purpose of this then. And if it does, I think it's worthwhile to look at. If it doesn't, then just throw it out, and people generally like that because it's like then you start kind of working together, and then you open the opportunity to look at what the purpose and the intent is and like how you, what you want to say, and then you can figure out how you want to say it. And it's those collaboration points. Yeah. They're fabulous, and being willing to work with other people, I think it makes you a better creative person. It doesn't close the door on other options, and it's almost like you're doing a disservice to yourself to say like I work in this frame of reference as an artist. You know, all the great movements of art in the history of this world have been formulated by groups of people. Right. And painters might not paint together in the same room, but they certainly went out to the bar together to hang out and have dinner and go to different parties and talk and engage and talk and engage and talk about their love for art and the craft and culture and politics and music and all these things, and that inspires and influences something. Yeah. That's where a movement is created. It's not created in the studio. The movement is created in the communication and that collaboration. Right. Yeah. Unfortunate with like what happened with the pandemic, I think it caused us to really shut our doors and like isolate ourselves. Right. And I think it's a slow roll to get out of that. It happened so quickly and it was so abrupt that it was shocking. And I think the shock hasn't completely worn off. Yeah, I agree. So I think we need to open our doors a little bit and figure out a way to work together more.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's true. I think, excuse me. It's true that, you think like all the great art, they came from these movements. It wasn't just one time, like one moment thing. Like take, going way back, the Renaissance, you had your top three dogs like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raffaello. Like you said, they were probably like going to the bars together. They were hanging out, talking about, oh, this looks nice. It'd be like, oh, remember the ancient Greeks used to do this? That looks kind of cool. Maybe we should try that. Or what were they doing, And then even more recently, think like music scenes, like, punk all coming out of either the UK or in New York City at this like 1 year period in New York. And then thrash metal coming out of like, the Bay Area, right? There's sort of... I guess like geography maybe has something to do with it, but or another example, grunge, Seattle, but yeah, just it's not just like you said, not just in the studio or whatever. It's them hanging out, sharing ideas, and also what's going on in the world, having a lot to do with that. And I think the pandemic, it definitely stunted a lot of that because we couldn't let alone create together, but we couldn't just you could hop on a Zoom call, but like
it's not the same, dude.
It's not the same as in person, seeing body language and resonating with that. And I think part of like why we came to our new production company, Resonance Films, like are you truly resonating with people in your message with people?
Oh yeah, that's all about like wavelength, and like you find this harmonious kind of loop of wavelengths kind of cycling within themselves, which is actually kind of cool. Yeah, and I think you miss out on that when you're not with a person across from them because communication is a wavelength. Right. There's actual like a wavelength, like an impetus and something that hits a person, they respond back to that, and it is a cycle of things, and you miss out on that with like all of these in-between pieces, like computer monitors and phones and all that. And there are close approximation to it, but there's nothing that changes, being able to be with a person in a room and work with them together on something, Yeah. Like I couldn't take a piano lesson virtually with a teacher, who could be like 200 miles away. Some people do, and I guess it's cool, they like it, but like I just personally am not wired that way. I would love to have the teacher sit next to me and be like, no, it's this key or that key, or like you're looking at this progression, or we're working in this direction or this melody or whatever. And it's like, but it's there, and it's faster too. It's a lot faster. You reminded me, there's a really great book. I don't know if you've read this one. It's one of my favorite books. It's called Lust for Life by Irving Stone.
I don't, but I'm going to add that to my list.
It's the story of Vincent van Gogh.
Oh, excellent.
And the entire book is written from his vantage point, but the whole storyline is taken from letters and correspondence they had between him and his brother Theo. So it's like all the events of his life are like laid out in this really beautiful sequence, but there's huge parts of this where he's working with, at the time, they really weren't known as impressionists, but the other artists at the time. Like I remember Toulouse-Lautrec was a part of the story. He was in there. I still can't remember if it's Monet or Monet.
There's both Monet and Manet.
I know, but I can't remember which one was in the book. Yeah, I can't remember which one it was, and I always get them mixed up. But regardless, it's a beautiful story because it's his journey, you know, of struggling through this, his kind of wildness that he had, the problems that he had, but then the lots of friendship that he had too, and the support that he had in other areas to just keep going. You know, he had a lot of people support him along the way, that they were part of his going through what he went through to create the work that he wanted to create. Yeah. It's a beautiful story. And like as any artist to read this, I think it's great. And not to glean from this that you need to suffer for your art. That's not the point. Is that there's a passion for it. And then there's a passion for it, and there's other people involved along the way who are like, all right, go for it. Let's go do it, you know, and dealing with the barriers and the hurdles and the obstacles and getting through those things to still just focus on keeping your production and on actually making and creating, you know, and never stopping. Yeah. You know, the tenacity to never stop, which is always something I've always admire with people, is just tenacity. Yeah. You know, but fabulous. One of my favorite. I think I have a first edition at home that I found somewhere that I wanted for the book. Yeah. That's all battered to hell and trashed, but I love it. It's one of my favorite books. Wow. Great story. And then there's a movie that was done. I think it was Michael Douglas played Van Gogh, Lust for Life, back in like 1955, 56, maybe somewhere around there. I could be wrong, but it's around that time frame. Wow. Michael Douglas? Kirk Douglas. Yeah. The dad. He was, Michael Douglas is much younger than that.
Much younger, yeah.
It was Kirk Douglas, I think. I think he played Van Gogh, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Yeah, that was him.
I'll have to check that book out.
Great book.
Yeah, I'll check that. I think that brings up another point too, that I also think about of, you know, this sort of camaraderie with other artists versus like, you know, competition. I mean, I think because competition is inevitable, you know, in business. But you can have, I think, there's friendly rivalry you can have with other artists, other creatives. Like, I'm gonna outdo you here. They're like, oh yeah, I got you here, you know. But
you make a game of things.
Yeah, make it a dance, you know, like a little tango.
Right.
Yeah,
right. Which is fun. That little friendly competition's kind of fun.
It is. Yeah. It is fun. Yeah. But as far as like taking that personally, like I don't like, people will ask me like if I'm around other filmmakers, like, aren't they your competition? Aren't you worried them taking away work? I'm like, not at all. We all help each other get better. We share ideas with each other. We let one another know. It's like, hey, have you tried this new AI tool? It's really good with this. Or have you tried this, you know, there's this new lens coming out here, or even beyond the technical stuff. Right. You know, just maybe just the logistics or the whatever. It's like, hey, I'm swamped here. Can you take this? Or, you know, hey, I think this might be really suited for you. I don't know if it's quite for me. I think having that sort of mindset is way better than, you know, viewing other creatives as like, you know, enemies. I think you get more done. You're helping other people, and you're also improving your own creative endeavors and your own craft, your own business. If you look at it in that context as well, I don't like to look at it as, you know, my competition are like, you know, rivals or anything like that. We're all in this together. There's plenty of work to be done. Go around for everybody. They're my friends. And then, like, as you said with Van Gogh, you know, getting inspired from other artists, there's that element too of we're all contributing and making ourselves better, and we're ideally, this may sound highbrow, but I like to think, you know, art can move society and civilization to new steps. Because I think alongside of that, now that I think of it, there's generally new steps toward like science or technology, parallel with new developments in art, you know, trying to think of good examples again, but like, you know, Renaissance, you think like Enlightenment, people were starting to adopt more philosophical ideas of freedom and liberty. There were reason, right?
A big part of that, yeah.
Right. And then that played into the scientific method as well. So I kind of went just on a big tangent there, but yeah, if you try and just be bitter or, you know, have animosity towards your fellow creatives, I think you're just doing a disservice for yourself and for everybody.
Well, I think it goes, it's looking at like a responsibility of the artist. Mm-hmm. What is the responsibility of the artist? You know, I don't know if an artist would know right out of the gate that you're going to be shaping the culture of the future. I don't think that's there. Yeah. But it does. A beautiful piece of architecture. You know, someone can work in that space for hundreds of years. What does that influence? A lot. You know, a painting that outlives that person. You know, and you can be in the same space as that person painted it. Mark Massaro was talking about that, remember? Yeah. I was there and I could see, and I'm standing in the same space and the same distance away from when that artist was painting that painting. But here it is, immortalized. It's here for however long it could be in the physical world as something that's beyond them, and it's still saying something to me, you know. And it's like, that inspires another artist to go do more work, or inspires someone to look at something or solve a problem, or, I mean, the or can go on forever, you know. So there is a responsibility that comes with the job of deciding to be a creative person. And I'm not saying it's this highfalutin grand thing, but it still sits there. So then, who are you in service to then? Right. It's an interesting question to ask. I don't know if I can't be that arrogant to answer that question. I don't know. I just go, who are you service to then? And so I go, well, the only thing I can really look at is, can I do something that's going to be helpful? Yeah. Can I do something that's actually going to contribute something then? And so I certainly hope I can. I don't know if I ever will, but I certainly hope I could do something like that. Something that might inspire someone to do something else with their life, or to go out and pursue something they never thought of pursuing before. Or it just helps someone look at something in a different way, from another perspective. And I go, okay, that's fine too, you know? You just hope it means something, you know? And I'm not looking to make some indelible mark in the history of the canon of all art or anything like that, man. I just want to make cool stuff, you know? I want to make things that could say something that I'm thinking that someone can look at and go, okay, cool, I got it. Oh, I like that. I enjoyed that. It was great, you know? But there's a certain level of responsibility with, I think, an artist. Yeah. You know, and there are different scales of that too. It's not just like all or nothing. It's like there are different scales, whatever that responsibility is. So when you talk about not being competitive with your peers or colleagues, the economics of things, I think, force that. And if you take that off the table and take that out of the equation of it, it's how can we work together? I mean, like, look, you and I, we started Resonance Films. We have made a couple pieces with it. We are in the middle of filming a documentary right now, which is about art and the place of art, and creating not antiquated tech. I don't want to sound like antiquated, but like it's just well-established techniques in a world that might not accept it right now, but they're really truly like carving out their own path and making a beautiful life for themselves, you know, and making great work, right? And you and I, we don't make any money off of this. Right. We spend our free time doing it. We like doing it. We enjoy it. Yep. I actually think it's kind of cool if there's no finance involved with it outside of us just putting in our own money into it to do something else with it and to create something that didn't exist. And the drive is a lot different. Mm-hmm. I'm doing it on my own time, and then I'm interested in doing it. I'm interested in making it. You and I are both I know you're interested in working on it. Right. So just with that being said, when you're working with other people, it's like taking that off the table, and it's like, then you start looking at it from, again, I think what we just talked about earlier, how can I make the best thing that I could possibly make? And then you go, how can I make the best possible thing I can make with you?
Yeah.
And then how can we do this together?
Right.
You know, and then that competition goes away. And then it becomes, hey, I got this new technique. Hey, I found this thing. I want to share this with you because I think it'll make your job easier. Well, that's kind of cool.
Right.
You know, like I can grow from that too, you know. And that's where I think you create movements.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to that point, your competition, and also like you said in the area of economics, dictating the situation.
Sometimes.
Like, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Right. But it's like, yeah, because when money is involved, it's like now the question, it's not like what's pleasing to me or to my partner, or like what what is, how can I make a difference here? It's more like now with economics involved, it's like, well, how do I please the funder or the client or the investor, And not saying that that's a problem. I mean, if it's a job, it's a job, that's because, yeah, you if somebody's giving you money, you do want them to be happy at the end of the day. It's a service at that point. But in the topic of art, that's all out the window, and it's all intuitive. It's all what feels right to us, and just those basic simplified emotions and goals of like what we're after. It's quite humbling in a lot of ways. I like the idea. It's like, sure, it'd be nice to have a funder for this, but on the other hand, it's nice that there's no rules. It's like anything goes. Like we are in this together, and
Yeah.
kind of like what you were saying earlier, like not having so much control. We're not caring too much about the consequences. We're just figuring this out, and we're enjoying every step of the way. We're learning, we're making failures, but we're picking up and getting better from those failures. And there's just joy. Like I wish I had a better way to describe, but there's just this utmost joy and, passion behind it, and, working with you, also like working with the artists that were, our subjects that we're capturing on film. We're learning. I could even say in my personal life too, like I've just by being around Mark Massaro and Abriel LaFountain as two of our artists and outliers, it's inspired me to get back into drawing again, which is something that I did relentlessly growing up. Like that was, you described like music as how you began in art in your early life. For me, it was drawing. Like I didn't play sports or anything up until, like I said, I did karate as a teenager or whatever, but I didn't do sports. I didn't really go out much. I would just draw all the time. And anyway, being around Mark and Abby is, and not only seeing them make art, but their views on it and how they practice it and whatnot, has inspired me to, pick up the sketch pad again.
Nice.
And draw again. So
Nice.
yeah, it fulfills you all around in life, not just in the artist sense, but in life in general, I think, which is great. Yeah.
You got me thinking of sometimes, somebody said a little earlier, but you got me thinking of some times when I did things for the money. And it was so limited in scope that I didn't learn anything out of it except the fact that I solved this problem of generating income. And I've done it a few times, and it's not great. It's like a soul-crushing experience. You do something for a lot of money, and you're like, oh, yeah, it's a lot of money. But it's not, it didn't contribute to anything.
Yeah.
So you try to take that out of, like, when you're doing something. Like, someone pays you a ton of dough to make something, and that's cool. You go, cool, I can make that money, but, like, what can I do to make this thing? And, like, what can I add to that? Is there something new I need to learn out of this? Do you go explore that? And you start asking different questions. Instead of how can I get this done to satisfy the requirement? It's like, how can you get something done and be even above and beyond what you thought? And it's like trying to separate those things out. And it's an interesting problem because it's like, how do you quantify art?
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you quantify the work that you do and charge accordingly for it. You know, I can work on a film piece with you, right? I can charge X number of dollars, and I consider, when I do a bid, I consider it's like this many hours going into it, this effort, equipment, the laundry list of things that go into it. But I know for a fact I am probably on a Friday night after I'm done with a work day or something like that, I'll be like, I got this idea for it. I'm going to write that down. Am I quantifying that time and being paid for that time? Probably not. But I know it's going to make for a better product. So it's like it's being driven by not that motivation for the finance. It's being driven for making something and then learning something out of that. For me.
Right.
For me. And I always want to learn something new out of something that I'm doing. And it's a tough thing to quantify. Mm-hmm. So I just try to I have a whole financial budget and all these things I got to take care of and all these things I'm responsible for with the business and all this stuff, and that's fine and it's all well and good, and that goes into the equation of doing things. But if I can put an extra 2 hours into something or 5 hours into something and I know it's going to make it better, that's better for everybody. Everybody kind of wins on that scenario, right? Or my team can, and I'm saying my team, and I say me, I'm also considering I have a whole team of people, you know, and like we all work on this together as a team. It's like, can we do that? Well, I'm going to make the decision that we're going to do that, and then you're going to make it better. But it's a tough thing to quantify. Yeah. You know, and as things get more expensive, and it gets more accessible with like AI for other people to make things, you know, does that water down what you're doing? You know, what's the other sell for it? What's the other drive for it? Is it the service? Is it the collaboration again? Right. You know, is that going to be a vacuum that needs to be filled at some point of like a real human being that you're going to talk to?
Right.
Instead of prompts.
Right.
You know, and it makes me sound like an old man. I'm like, this new technology. Oh, my God. Oh, these CDs. Nobody's going to listen to CDs. Which actually was true. You know, just streaming. But, you know.
Yeah.
You sound like an old man a little bit when I say something like that.
Still true, though.
It is, but you're never going to lose the artists.
Right.
I'm sorry. I don't think the world is going to be taken over by engineers.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
And that's kind of seems like the direction it's trying to be pushed in one way or the other.
Yeah.
But you're never going to lose. I don't think you're ever going to lose the craft person, the painter, the musician, you know, the young kid, you know, there was this young girl I saw on Instagram years ago playing Queens of the Stone Age.
Oh, really?
No one knows. She was playing Dave Grohl's parts on the drums.
Oh, wow.
She was like 10. She is now a really well-known, recognized touring drummer at like 19 or 20 or something like that. And I totally forget her name. Wow. And it was awesome because here's this young person coming in and discovering this music for the first time and being like, I'm going to learn how to do this and be a rock drummer, you know, and I don't think that'll ever get lost, you know, and it's refreshing to see that, you know, in a world where everything has become so digital and like this intangible thing. Right. We need more of it, you know, and if we can incorporate the technology into what we're doing, I think that's kind of cool. Yeah. You know, I think that's kind of fun. I mean, I run into it with music. Right. You know, there's so much software. You would laugh at me if you open up my phone. I must have like 30 tabs on my phone open right now of all this music software that I'm looking at, because all of it's like really freaking rad. Yeah. But it's like, you know, thousands of dollars of stuff, and that's all amazing. But it gives me like access to like a sound I hadn't heard before. Mm-hmm. And out of my pure laziness, I'm like, I'm not going to make this sound. I'll just go buy. Right? And it's kind of funny. And it's like, it's just that easy to get something, to be a consumer and to buy those things, not create it. And there's stuff that saves you time on it and all. But the point I'm making is I have these tools and these things that I've never had access to before. Yeah. You know, like London Philharmonic, you can get a virtual software for that and get it on your computer. And you can just start playing. You know how to play the piano and press the key. It's like you can make these sounds. They're like, sounds amazing. Mm-hmm. Can you put it into a piece? That's different. But you can actually just start working with those sounds, you know. And I think that's the access is really cool. But at some point, there's still like this craft wins. Well, the point I'm making is like finding that balance between that's like, you know, you have this here, but then what can you do with that technology? And it goes right back to what we were originally saying is having access to things. I have access to a 4K camera. I work with you. You have a 4K camera with an anamorphic lens. That whole rig setup's like $6,000.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a film I told you about that was done by Gareth Edwards, which is the creator that came out like a year ago.
Right.
I watched the movie. I was like, this is cool. I like the way they filmed this. Let me go look at what camera they use and lens. It was literally the same anamorphic lens that you have in the same camera body.
It's insane.
2 cameras, guerrilla style. They went out to like Thailand and Vietnam and filmed out in the jungles on location because they could. It was going to be cheaper to do that. And yes, they had like really cool rigs and drones and all kinds of other stuff that went on and a team of people behind it, but they still use this like prosumer or professional rig setup that was like $6,000 each. And I go, that's really kind of cool that we have that kind of tool at our disposal to do that, to make something that looks that beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, you go back to like old Hollywood type stuff and it's like, or even modern. I mean, it's like, you know, Christopher Nolan using these IMAX cameras with the lens that he designed by himself, you know.
I actually didn't know that. He designed a lens by himself?
He designed an IMAX lens.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. It's a 1.2 lens.
Ooh.
Big barrel thing.
Oof.
He made it, designed it. It's his. He owns it. And there was actually an interview I saw with him, and he said he leased it to Zack Snyder while making one of the Superman movies.
Oh, man.
Same lens.
That's so funny.
He's like, yeah, I leased it to him. He let him borrow it for a little while for the shoot. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I was like, oh, that's funny. But, you know, that whole setup is, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's that level of that type of film, you know, for the consistency and quality of it is. But we have these things that we can work with that are just...
Yeah.
The person who is not trained in this area would not see the difference. You know, like I wrote that piece for what we're doing. And I shared it with a friend of mine. And I knew there's 2 mixing points in it that I don't like still. And it bugs me. And I was like, hey, I just want your viewpoint. I wrote this thing. I want to see what you think. They're like, wow, that sounds amazing. Yeah. I hear they don't. Yeah. I hear that click or that one thing and you're like, oh, God. Yeah. That's going to drive me nuts every time I hear that. I got to fix that, right? Mm-hmm. You know, but they didn't hear it. They heard a beautiful piece. And I go, oh, that's kind of funny too.
Yeah.
So does that bring us to the point of perfectionism then?
Right. Yeah.
And I apologize. I go on these tangents. So if you want to interrupt me, man, anything, go ahead.
No, that was all very valuable stuff. I got a lot of cool points out of that, like inferences about, I mean, you talked about, well, you just mentioned perfectionism, and you also talked about, you know, where technology is going, especially with AI. And, you know, the creative isn't, you said the creative is never going to go away. And I totally agree. And I was actually, again, bring up my guest I had the other day, Dustin, because he's very into AI. He's a web developer. And we were both saying, like, yeah, at the end of the day, I don't think the creative person is going to go away. I mean, there will be devices and tools that can, if you compartmentalize yourself to just that one thing, you can, maybe you could be replaced. And I think for one, in filmmaking, I think if you have positioned yourself as, say, the another filmmaker, a friend of mine has a good term for it, if you're the B-roll bro, which is like anything, these this sort of trendy that you've seen like in the past few years of these videographers, they pick up a Sony and a gimbal, and they just make like these cool transitions, and not that I'm not knocking it, not that there's anything wrong with that, but
you totally can knock it. It's okay. It's okay. No, knock it. That's fine.
But it's true. Like if you only do that and you're just trying to replicate trends, like, you know, that's an example. Like, maybe you'll be snuffed out by AI, but if that creative person that, of all the things we've been talking about, that has an intent and a story to tell and has an eye for storytelling that most people don't have, that type of person is going to live on throughout humanity. I mean, it's the same thing, like, you know, again, in music, you know, when drum machines, when did they become popular? Like in the 90s?
No, I mean, like, he had, like, people like Tangerine Dream and stuff using sequencers, which are, like, drum machines. He got stuff in the 70s, early 80s. So, yeah, I mean, it was going back pretty far. I mean, shit, Wendy Carlos was doing Switched on Bach. I mean, she was using all kinds of sequencers for early drum machine type stuff in, like, in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
But that didn't replace drummers. I mean, maybe in, say,
no,
hip-hop.
it did.
Yeah.
No, it totally
Yeah,
did. I have a really, really good friend of mine who was a drummer in a band in the 70s. And he tells me the story. He's like, you know, they were a hired band to play at clubs for like weeks at a time. They were all around Connecticut, Massachusetts, New England area. Very popular, played original songs, played like top 40 hit stuff. It was at the day and the age when you had dance halls. People would go out to dinner, you know, with their friends, spouses, partners, and then they would go out and listen to a live band and dance and hang out and have dinner and all that stuff. And they were packing the house. They were, you know, him and his brother, amazing musicians, you know, like from like the level of like Toto quality kind of stuff, right? These guys are just top notch, top shelf stuff, right? And my friend, he's like, and then drum machines came along. He goes, and the next thing you know, he's like, we stopped getting gigs.
Wow. Oof. That's rough.
It changed. It changed that entire culture of how people did things, you know, and how they went out. And it's like, then it became like this discotheque type thing. And he did a 3-piece band, and he went and played again with some other people and still played and did shows because it wasn't the same. You know, he didn't have that. And it was a huge cultural shift with something like that. But you're making a point about using drum machines and technology in music and changing music, right?
Yeah. So maybe not a good example.
No, it's a great example. No, it's a great example. I think it brought in music that you would have never heard. You know, you got bands like Depeche Mode. You know, like they are hugely influential bands. You have someone like Ministry. Yeah. Hugely influential. And they did a mix of the live with the digital. 9 Inch Nails is another one too. Yeah. You know?
October Rust, Type O Negative, that was all in drum machine.
Is that right? I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I mean there are things out there I think that you wouldn't have heard music before. You know, I imagine Tool at some point probably would have been, you know, if they didn't find Danny Carey, they probably would have switched over to something because apparently they couldn't find a drummer. And Danny Carey felt bad for him. I was like, yeah, I'll come because he couldn't find a drummer. And he turned out to be like one of the most phenomenal drummers of our modern era, right? You know, and it's like, this guy's unbelievable. Yeah. So you talk about the technology. It's a bit of a struggle I have, right, with it. You have AI, you have the tech of something. And there's a piece that's missing out of all of that, the use of that. And I think it actually has to do with like ethics as opposed to what it is. Because we can attack the thing and I go, well, that's actually kind of a cool piece of tech. Like I think AI is fascinating, right, of what it can do. And it's like it could be so broad and sweeping in so many different areas, but then there's this like ethics piece that isn't in it. It's like things don't change unless people complain about it. That's the attitude right now. And you know, you have AI art. So you get someone like James Jean, one of my favorite modern artists, this guy. Unbelievable work this guy does. He's so prolific. There was an AI art generator that was taking a library of his work, and you can type in a prompt like, I want work like James Jean art, and they combine all these things together and make something new out of it without his permission. Oh. And then there were a myriad of artists that found out that this was happening, like modern artists that are still alive, still making their work as illustrators and painters and sculptors and all this and these visual mediums. And I go, that's not okay. Yeah. It's being passed off as a thing being created by that person, right? So the person who made that is a dick when it comes down to it. It's like, that is theft.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You're a con. Yeah.
It's the theft of a concept, right? So where are the ethics within all that?
Yeah.
Things don't change unless someone goes, that's not right. And they go, okay, we won't do that. So it's better, it's like that better to ask for forgiveness instead of permission kind of attitude, which is kind of bullshit with this. You know, the ethics of it. Like, what is the intent to use this? I've made this thing, how can I do something for the greatest benefit of something instead of for myself or the satisfaction of that, or to be a criminal in that case, which would be a criminal.
Yeah.
Right? In that instance, that's for being a criminal. I mean, schools have now come up with guidelines. Like my son goes to a school, which in their guidelines, it says, you will not use any AI to write your term papers for school in high school he's in. No, like absolutely not. And I'm sure there's plenty of schools have done that now too. But I remember reading the guidelines for students, and it was like, you're going to sign this thing that part of one of these steps is you're not going to do this thing. But some people still do that.
Right.
And you could put in a prompt and say, write me a paper about Thomas Edison. This whole paper about this, and then they just use that and throw it in, and then you say, that's my paper. And some people have done that. So what are the ethics of it?
Yeah.
And so the intent for it is not for the greatest good. I mean, like, what does the student learn? What does the school get out of it? What does it do for the person? They've already committed an act which would not be beneficial to them, to their parents. I mean, there's a whole slew of problems that come out of it. So I always just go, like, what are the ethics of the AI?
Yeah, I completely agree. And overall, I'm pretty enthusiastic and not too terrified of AI, but those types of things concern me. Like you mentioned, your son, in school, AI creeping into there. And my mom also works in higher ed, and she's been saying they've been at a real kind of crisis trying to, in colleges, trying to figure out, tools and how to weed out, who wrote this through ChatGPT. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Versus who actually put their own thought into it. And I can't remember the details what she said, because I think it's still in motion. And another thing I think about is deep fakes. That
oh, good God.
That concerns me as well, because that could go in the political sphere. And, this may sound like a crazy hypothetical example, but you could take any politician, could be the president, and making him or her say, something to North Korea. It's like, hey, we got nukes. We're gonna attack you. Like something like that.
There was a news agency that just demoed that. I'm trying to remember what the name of it was, but they just demoed AI newscasters. So it was like reporters. So it's like, nightly news, and you have an AI with their fake background, with the not real person, looks like a real person. And at any point, they can switch it over to speak in different languages. At any point. And it looks like a real person, sounds like a real person. And I think to a very critical eye, you can say, yeah, that's not real. But at first glance, you're like, yeah, no, that's a real person. It's not a real human being at all.
Right. Yeah.
It goes right back to that ethics point. Like, what are the ethics of this?
Yeah.
How is it going to be used? And you're right, with the politics, that's pretty frightening.
Yeah.
That's very, very, very frightening. Like, what can be said or how something can be manipulated. Even just a word changed in one way or another because, well, that's not what I wanted to say during that speech. So just change that a little bit.
Yeah.
Alter that just enough to change my meaning of it. Does that change history at that point? Can you go back and then change what history is going to be? And you start getting into some pretty Orwellian type concepts of, what are you going to do with this information?
Right.
So it becomes on to ethics.
Yeah.
What do you don't touch with that? If anything at all. What do you connect it to? I'm not trying to say it's all scary and frightening. I think there's some fabulous things you can do with it.
Right.
Amazing things. I'm sure there's amazing stuff that can happen out of something like that. Especially how it indexes like most of the web for a lot of this stuff to go find something. I mean, it's going to replace search entirely. How we search for things. That's going to replace how businesses get found online. Wow. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. I almost wonder if it's like, if there's this rule where like it takes like whenever a new technology or new innovation comes around, it takes maybe another 20 or 30 years for humans to mature with it. Like, I don't think even like the internet,
I don't know if we'll ever be mature with the internet.
I don't think so either, but maybe certain parts of it I'd like to hope. I mean with social media, I think trolling's not going to go away, but like I think, and maybe that's just one example, but like people using it again, like you said, the ethics, like I'd like to think over time people do use things for greater good. Maybe I'm too much of an optimist there, but historically, I mean, well, then again, maybe not. I mean, that's kind of the whole theme of Oppenheimer, right? Movies like that, like,
Oh
you know,
God.
like
Yeah.
we have this, but like we can use it, but should we? Is the question.
It's a valid question to ask.
Yeah.
It's a very valid question to ask. But I mean, like, look, atomic power is actually very interesting.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, like how efficient it could be, and like, you know, under the right kind of control points, it could be very, very, very powerful and very beneficial. But then
Absolutely.
it's used for nefarious purposes. Ethics, you know, like, what are you going to use it for, man?
Right.
You know, there's that old argument. It's like, you know, if it wasn't for the motivation to win a war, that we wouldn't have come up with this tech. And I'm like, probably would, one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's being financed by the government. And, you know, millions and hundreds of millions of dollars at a time put into something to make this with science and research and all this and to make it happen. But
maybe it wouldn't have happened as quickly. Maybe. Yeah.
But I think it's funny when you say it takes 20 or 30 years and people get more mature with things. I think the internet's just going to get more immature. Like I like a good meme as much as the next one.
Yeah, me too.
Some of them make me laugh. I share them with Ashley a lot. Like, oh, this is funny. Just because I laugh. We have a good chuckle over it, you know, and it turns into an inside joke. And you're like, that's funny. Yeah. The immaturity of it, I think, is still makes it a little playful. Where it's not mean, but the immaturity is actually not a bad thing.
Right.
But yeah, with AI, I wish I had a crystal ball on something like that. I wish I could know where that would go. My hope is that it doesn't hurt, you know, what a creative can do or the market for being a creative person, you know, and that it doesn't take us and put us in situations that we're just working and operating behind a desk and only with a computer, and we were cut off more and more from people.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just finding a way to connect with other people, because I think it kills the collaboration if you just rely on something like that.
Yeah.
You know, find a way to make it a tool. Okay, that's cool. You know, but I hate to see, like, there's software out there, just doing research and other things out there for music. There is software out there that's like full AI. Like, you can be like a couple prompts, put some things in. I want it to sound like this bossa nova thing with, like, you know, these type of, you know, instruments, and it'll generate the whole song for you. I want it to be at this length, this tempo, this key, boom, whole thing. And then you're like, oh, cool, here's my song. No.
Yeah.
No, it's not. You know. And I struggle with that too. It's like, how much do you automate and sequence, and how much are you playing live, and how do you find a balance between those things to do that? You know, right. I don't have a full orchestra and a band behind me doing any of these things. So you're like, all right, well, these are the tools I can to do that. Just what it is, you know, what one can do with it. Yeah. And I have to have that ethical guideline too. Like, I can probably go through and just automate a whole bunch of arpeggiations and this and this and do this in the sequence and just be like, boom, hit it, play, and then there you go, and that's the song. Where's the soul at?
Right.
Where's the heart of it?
Yeah.
You know?
What do you think's the silver lining to all this then, to all this madness?
So all this madness? Yeah. which madness are we talking about?
Well, I guess on this topic of
because there's some madness.
There is. I mean, well, there's good madness, I guess, in art, like we were talking about. But I guess in regards to maybe like AI and technology, you know, advancing at that capacity, what's the silver lining for creatives, artists like us to carry on and make sure that doesn't get hindered or dies off and gets replaced with, like you said, like a music track that a robot can generate within seconds?
Well, the computer program is only as smart as the information you put into it. Human being is totally different.
It's true.
You know, people can go, our mind and our brain is just a computer and it's just processing that. And I go, no, because we have the power to reason things. We have the power to analyze something and look at it, and our minds can work as fast, or if not faster, than any computer out there.
It's true.
We evaluate and interpret data constantly. Even if we are not aware that we're doing it, it's constant information all the time, from how we perceive things through all the different perceptions of our body and our mind. to how we can look into the future and the past at the same time. The computer can't do that. And I don't think it ever will, unless you inject something like a soul into that, or, you know, a human soul, or a human being as it is, you know, what that is and how to define that. So we have the power of reason. And I think that is always our strength, you know, above anything within like an animal kingdom that we have. We have this power of reasoning. You know, we take that away, then we're just like some dumb animal. You're just an animal, you know, and it's like, but I have also seen some animals that are like, that one's pretty smart. Like, what's going on there? Like, is there some reasoning skill within there too, to evaluate information and weights of importances on things?
Right.
So, with that being said, like, let's look at an example. Like, you're filming something, and you had a shot that you thought you had, but you don't have it. And you can say in an AI prompt, like, I want it to be this type of story, and it could just generate this whole thing. And you go, everything's exactly right there, but then that aesthetic value is missing. I didn't have the shot, so now I got to get creative to figure out how I can fill that in there with something else that still is communicating the way I want it to communicate. And you figure out whatever that abstraction is or that concept is, and see how you can make that work and fit with what you want to say. And I don't think you get that with a computer, to constantly analyze and reanalyze and reanalyze those things to make something better and better and better and improve upon that. And I don't think you'll ever get that with a computer.
I don't think so either. I mean, yeah, it's like, replicating again, but it can't nail down the human condition, you know, fully. And bringing up movies again, I think like that's like a theme of kind of movies like Prometheus, right, or Ex Machina, right, like of AI technology trying to learn to be human, but there's just certain parts of like who we are that you can't quite explain, but human to human communication, you know, again, resonating, it'll it'll always be superior over no matter what advances or capabilities that AI or a machine can do, I think.
Is it Ex Machina or Ex Machina?
I thought it was Ex Machina.
I thought it was Ex Machina.
Oh.
I don't know. I thought it was like Deus Ex Machina, which was like the god device that was used during Shakespearean plays.
Maybe.
And I'm probably saying completely wrong. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Y'all, because I'm probably not pronouncing it right. But that was the Deus Ex Machina, like you call it. But it was like during the Shakespearean plays, you had like this pulley system that would descend something up and down within it, and that's what they called it, because it was like this god device that was like elevating and bringing people down that should be unseen. It's what's pulling the levers in the back and the pulleys and everything.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, I think that's where it came from. It was like deriving the term. Actually, it was a Shakespearean play type thing.
Really? You're probably right.
Yeah, but
maybe.
So you saw that movie?
Yeah.
So I don't know if everybody else saw it. What did you think of that film?
I thought it was really good.
Why did you like it?
I mean, I'm trying to think of like how to explain it. I mean, aside from, I mean, it was entertaining, but like, it was one of those movies where I had to like meditate on it. Like,
really?
Yeah. Like, I'm like, wow, what was that really about? Like, what was the point there? And I mean, yeah, maybe I'm kind of spoiling it, but I think like the idea was to have this beautiful woman, this constructed android of a woman, like to try and trick a person, right? Like, I think that was like the goal behind the experiment in the film, right? And I think like it touches on themes of it's pretty dark. It's actually pessimistic. It kind of goes against kind of like the optimism of what we're trying to communicate, but there are a lot of there are kind of like negative sides to the human experience that just like can't go away, of like lust and, you know, divisiveness and all these other kind of vices, and, you know, and then AI isn't really capable of those things. But it's also, AI isn't capable of understanding necessarily of, it can hear, I guess, things you have to say or concerns. Even, I don't want to say it because I don't want Siri going off right now, but because I have my phone in my pocket. But I was afraid if I would say her name that she would go off and start
But
talking.
you just said her name.
Yeah, I just did. I don't know. I haven't heard her pop up yet though. But anyway, like even that, like she'll say it's just like, what's going on with you today? But and this is kind of a theme of her, right? Like,
Wait, are you talking about Siri?
yeah.
Her?
Well,
Did you
no,
say her?
No, but well, I said I was about to bring up.
Scaring me, Mark.
No, I was about to bring up the movie Her. I think there's another example there.
Oh,
of
that
like,
Spike Jonze movie.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, with Joaquin Phoenix.
yes,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. That's actually, I think that's a better example. That's like of all the AI type movies that have come out, I think that's like one of my favorite. I think that
Right.
Blade Runner, obviously, but actually could put in that category. They're not technically AI. They're
Replicants.
replicants. Yeah,
They're clones, right?
yeah.
That's how I always took it.
Yeah, they're not. They're replicated humans. They're
Correct.
They're not robotic androids of any kind, but they're genetically kind of created, right? But
Mm-hmm.
and anyway, this sort of theme of like, you said this too. It'll it'll take as whatever you put into it, like any information. It's like even what you consider like feelings or thoughts, like it all just sees it as data at the end of the day. But it's only going to comprehend, give back just what you gave to it. It's not going to come back with any other original thought or communication, right? So
Or the ability to analyze a current situation and then come up with a solution that would be acceptable for, like, as an artist, like,
yeah,
what one wants to say.
mm-hmm.
But Ex Machina, so...
We'll call it Machina. Yeah.
Machina? I don't know. I could be totally wrong. And that's okay, because some things I don't know. And so it's an interesting film.
Mm-hmm.
It took, when you talk about meditating on it, that one took me a long time to kind of process too, which I thought was interesting because he's one of my favorite directors is Alex Garland, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She did that new movie Civil War, which was just, oh my God, it blew my mind how good that was.
I still got to see that one.
Very bit divisive for some folks, but I really, personally, really enjoyed the struggle within that whole story and then not being very political.
No.
But the Ex Machina with Oscar Isaac was in that. Yeah, it was Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
He was the lead tech guru,
Right.
Elon Musky type
Yeah.
character, eccentric tech
Right.
guy. But it was something that dawned on me later, and I'm literally going to spoil this for everybody of what I think about the movie and this theory of it. That young man who's with this android, right? And he's like having this almost like this love relationship with her. He is an android.
Oh.
And that's what Oscar Isaac was trying to test. And he was trying to test about loyalty and honesty. And at what point is this really human where then it becomes this not a perfect system?
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did not think about that at all.
Because he gets recruited to come directly from the company and then
Right.
goes to this remote location. And the whole time he's the one who's actually being tested.
Right.
Not the other way around of him trying to test this android to see if it would fall in love or have things. It's just to see like where this kid would go as an android. And like, you know, can you trust this? Can you be honest? Like how human are you going to make him?
Mm-hmm.
And then can you really tell the difference now?
Right. Yeah.
That's where, and then so it was like much. It was, I'm saying like 6 to 8 months later, all of a sudden I'm like, oh
Whoa.
crap, wait, like it just kind of hit me. I was like, what if that's the whole thing that's going on with this? And it kind of fits, right?
Right.
So then you get into, you know, what makes a human, you know, and then how can you hide that if it's not human? And nefarious purposes again. What are the ethics of the whole thing?
Yeah.
So then you watch this movie, and then you realize Oscar Isaac is the only real person in the entire movie if you come from that. He's batshit crazy.
Yeah. That is a really interesting
Yeah.
theme, reflection, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
I would
Sorry if
never thought-
anybody has not seen this. I have totally ruined the movie for you, and it's not the purpose of what I'm trying to do.
It's been out for almost like 8-10 years or
What
something.
is the
so-
limit on ruining spoilers? Like,
Yeah.
can we talk about the Red Wedding at Game of Thrones now? Like, is that like, is that like where? Well, no, it's like 10 years. I think we're good.
Yeah, right.
Like, if you haven't seen Star Wars Empire
Oh,
Strikes
yeah.
Back by now,
Yeah.
Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father.
That's a good question. Yeah, where do you draw that line? But I definitely don't disagree that we can spoil Empire Strikes Back.
There was another fun. We could totally spoil this one too for Inception.
Mm-hmm.
I had to read a full article about Inception because I did not understand what his totem was. Leonardo DiCaprio's character.
Yeah.
So, you know, he had the totems. Everybody had their own totem.
Right.
You know, and he had the little top that he had spun. That's not his totem.
That's right.
And I did not know that.
Right.
And they, like, literally in the movie, he shows the safe that he puts the totem in for his wife, or she hides it in there, or he hides it in there. I can't remember, one or the other. But that was hers. You know what his totem was?
Wait, actually, no, I don't know.
Based off of this article that I read, and I had to I watched the movie again afterwards, and I think they were right. His wedding ring.
Ooh, wow.
Because he has it in the dream state, but he doesn't have it when he's out of the dream state. And he's always touching it.
Really? Whoa, I would not have thought of that. It's been a while
Or
since
the other
I've
vice
seen the
versa.
movie.
It's one or the other. But watch it again.
Yeah.
Because then you can tell at the end of the movie whether or not when he sees his kids at the end of the movie if that's real or not. And it'll answer that question for you. Because he spins the totem and you go like, but that's his wife's.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So I always thought, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought what happened like toward like, you know, the climax, it's been a long time since I watched the movie, so I'm a bit hazy on it.
And I love that we're still talking about this movie now so many years because it's such a good film.
It is such a great movie.
So finish your thought, man.
No, sorry. So when who's the Asian guy that
Ken Watanabe.
Ken Watanabe, yeah.
Love that dude.
Yeah, he was amazing in that
Yeah.
film. When DiCaprio reaches that sort of final like dream within a dream within a dream stage, and he's in that chamber sitting across the table from Tanabe, and Tanabe ends up touching his totem. I always thought like that kind of just null and voided it from then on. So, because remember, you're not supposed to touch the other dreamer's totem.
You don't touch the other person's totem. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're not, because that's right.
Right.
So he touches it.
He touches it, and he kind of null and voids it. Yeah, he spins it on the table when he's talking to him, because he took it from him.
But it's not his totem.
True.
Totem is his wedding ring.
Yeah. Fascinating.
I thought it was cool. I was like, I did not see that. And like with movies, I'm always like, scour for the details and like, you know, was there some other hidden meaning in here? Is the director or the screenwriter trying to say something within here?
Right.
You know, I totally did not see that. And then I read this piece on it, and I was like, I gotta watch this again. I was like, I think they're right here, man. I think this was pretty spot on.
Wow.
Yeah.
I might have to watch the movie again now. Like I said, I haven't seen it since like after it came out, I think. So
crazy good movie, dude.
Such a good movie.
Crazy good movie. I mean, there's just some out there you can watch again and again and again.
Wow.
Like Starship Troopers, which is one of the top 5 best movies ever made.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Starship Troopers is great. It's right up there.
Oh man, I love
It's right up there with other Paul Verhoeven's RoboCop. Who doesn't love RoboCop? Everybody loves RoboCop. Super to protect and serve.
I have a lot of good guilty pleasure movies and shows.
Oh, what do you got?
I will always go back to Beavis and Butthead Do America.
I did not know you were going to say that. Really? Beavis and Butthead, huh?
Yeah, my dad actually introduced me to Beavis and Butthead.
No way.
This is kind of right before I'm hitting puberty too. So like I don't quite understand like what because it's perverted, like, you know, what the things that they say in the show. I didn't quite understand it, and like going around like, because I would imitate everything, and I would like say it to like my friends, and my mom would have to pull me aside and be like, you know, you don't say this.
Not appropriate.
And she would yell at my dad she would blame him for it.
I love that. That's a fun little game. That's funny.
Yeah.
Beavis and Butthead Do America, really? I did not think that would be on your radar.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say Starship Troopers is right on the list. And, you know, one of my top 5 list though is Paul W.S. Anderson's There Will Be Blood.
I was thinking about that recently.
Dude.
What an amazing film.
Oh my God, the cinematography. Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead did the music for this thing. Dana Day-Lewis Yeah, Johnny Greenwood did the score for it.
You're so knowledgeable about like the credits. I need to step my game up
dude,
here.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I get super fucking nerdy.
No, but it's,
and I know a lot of folks do this, but I do this after I see every movie. Where's the one place you go on your phone after you see a movie?
Wait,
IMDb.
So, right, yeah.
I'm like, I'm like, oh wait, that person was in the movie. Like immediately, I'm like, what other movie were they in? I can't remember what they're in. I do that one,
yeah,
and I literally read all the trivia about the movie.
Interesting.
I don't know why I get like so hooked into finding out about like these backstories of like how these things get created and what happens.
Wow.
But
I used to do that a lot too. I don't know why I stopped, but I did that for a lot of Scorsese movies. There's a lot of interesting.
well, he's always got a lot of good trivia and stuff.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know. I go on IMDb and I read.
There was actually a in Goodfellas in the scene where De Niro is looking at Maury across the bar and he's smoking the cigarette and there's that dolly in shot of when he's and you hear Sunshine of Your Love playing in the background.
Okay.
And in that moment he's like contemplating like killing Maury. In the
Maury's the toupee guy, right?
Yeah.
Did he sell the toupees or the rugs? I can't remember. He sold something.
Yeah, it was the wigs. Maury's wigs.
Maury's wigs.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thanks. Yeah. All right.
The story behind how they picked the song went in there. So like Nicholas Pileggi, the writer of the book and also co-wrote the screenplay with Scorsese, when they were writing the scene, he was like they were kind of describing like the I guess the vibe of the scene, and Nicholas said something like this needs some cream to it. And then Scorsese literally took it as like, oh, it needs the band Cream. And then he threw in Sunshine of Your Love in the edit.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
So with the movies though, I would go with There Will Be Blood as like in that top 5 list for sure.
That's a good one for
dark
top 5.
Man, dark story, but that was one of the movies. There are very few of them that I watched that like shocked me at the end, and it really caught me off guard as a film. Yeah, which I thought was kind of cool because I was watching. I'm like, it's dark and it's serious. I'm like, there's be a death in here somewhere or whatever, and you're going through this whole story and this stuff. You're like, this guy's Plainview is terrible. What a horrible person,
Yeah.
But this one I'm gonna spoil too for everyone. This is good. This is called Spoilers 101 is what we're doing. So you saw this, right?
Of course.
Okay, cool. So he has that whole thing with Paul Dano, and Paul Dano's the preacher, priest.
Yeah, he's like
pastor.
a pastor, yeah.
Yeah, and he starts this church on the oil derrick, and and then he gets Daniel Plainview. He brings him into the church and he baptizes him and slaps him around and embarrasses him, and that's the moment.
Yeah.
That's the moment where he's plotting his revenge. And you get to this entire story of like he's going to win, he's going to succeed, he's going to take everything away from this pastor. That is his whole drive, this entire story, because at the end of it, he kills him in the bowling alley at his house.
Right.
And he stops and he looks and he screams, he goes, I'm finished.
I'm finished, yeah.
And when that happened, I went, my God, this was an entire revenge story.
Yeah.
It was not him being like a capitalist. It was him out for revenge.
Yeah.
And his whole goal was to get him to get to that point where he can murder him. And I was like, oh my God. My God, how evil. But it was so brilliantly written, and that's why I really enjoyed it. I mean, the music, the cinematography, the quality of the performances, my God, everybody in this thing was just like just out of this world good.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those films that just caught me by surprise.
Wow.
Like I was really kind of just like, I didn't expect that. So it was kind of a left hand or like left hand punch. You're like, wow, that got me.
Yeah.
Great film. Fabulous film.
That's another one along with Inception. I think I need to. It's been a while since I've watched There Will Be Blood. I think I'll have to check that. I think everything stood out for me. I mean, I think, in my opinion, I think it's probably Daniel Day-Lewis's best performance. My personal opinion.
Not Gangs of New York is Bill the Butcher.
That's a close second,
dude.
Yeah,
my God.
I don't know now that you bring that up. I don't know. I think it's a dance between the two there, because
I mean, he stole every scene with Leonardo DiCaprio in it.
He really did.
And Leonardo DiCaprio is an amazing actor, but like it was like, oh my God, this guy is just like unbelievable.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
know?
No, yeah, I just marveled at his role in that, in both of those films.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have other, like, can you list like a top 5 for you films?
Full top 5.
Yeah.
So I definitely say Starship Troopers is up there. There Will Be Blood is up there. I do think Seven is on that list.
Okay. That's a good one. Yeah.
And I think there's a whole subset of like David Fincher films. I think if we just go sideways along like number 3, it's all David Fincher films because they're all so awesome.
They're all awesome.
Even his TV shows like Mindhunter.
Yeah. Right.
Fight Club. I mean, I love that. I don't think you would make a movie like that now these days because of the topic, but it was just a really interesting story.
Yeah.
Crap, dude, that's a good question because then if you get into like 4 and 5, what else would you have on that list? I might go with Inception.
Nice.
Not to be an easy pick, but I think that's actually a really, really good pick.
Wow.
And then this one is more of a favorite of Ashley, Ashley, my wife, her and I. And you're gonna laugh at me. Please don't laugh at me. I'm gonna go with an Amy Adams, and what the hell is the guy who played Ozymandias? Declan.
Oh, wait, in the new Watchmen?
Yeah, no, the movie The Watchmen. It was Declan something. He's an Irish English actor.
I was gonna say Jeremy Irons, but that's the show.
No, not Jeremy Irons.
Okay.
So it's this really cheesy romantic comedy movie called Leap Year.
Oh, I've heard of this. Yeah.
and I only think because it's a personal, sentimental favorite. My wife, I know it's not a good movie. I know it's nowhere like the auteur of cinema or anything like that. But it's just a personal favorite of her and I to watch it every couple months. We have it on DVD, and we'll be like, yeah, we'll throw it in, and her and I will watch it and sit next to your wife and watch this cute movie, and
that's funny.
We all end up crying at the same spot every time or something. And we're like, it's not even a good movie. It's just not. But there's something, and then that's what's cool about movies is they mean something to different people at different points.
Yeah, who cares if other people hate it? It means something to you. That's what matters.
Yeah, I know. It's true. And that's the purpose of the film. Like it should resonate with you in some way. It should communicate to you to something, But then it's a shared experience too. It's like you go see a film with someone. It's like you share this experience of seeing this thing.
Yeah.
Like best. You're gonna laugh. Like I have some really like cheesy favorites. So as much as I love all art and stuff, there's some pretty cheesy stuff. So the best indoor movie theater experience I've ever had was for Pacific Rim.
Really?
Yes. It was my first time going to a full-blown, legit IMAX theater experience with a large IMAX, not like the small, like a full 10-story tall IMAX screen with the full 7.1 surround sound.
Wow.
And the movie's so colorful. There's so much color, Guillermo del Toro uses like these really great, he has really great concept of color theory, of how he uses with things within his color wheel correctly, and it creates these like beautiful saturations with color. He did it in all of his Hellboy movies. He did it in Pacific Rim. He did it in all of his like horror films that he's done too. But it was so saturated and so just like over the top, robots fighting monsters. And I just was like, the whole time I felt like I was like 11 years old. I was like, this is everything I wanted to see it. Like as a young person of like the monster truck things and the giant monsters and all that. I loved it.
Wow.
And I still think it's one of the best experiences I've ever had in a theater.
That's awesome.
Next to The Matrix.
Yeah. I wish I could say I saw that in the theater.
I did, 1999.
Wow.
I remember the theater too. It was in New York City. It was an underground theater in Times Square.
Really?
Yeah, and the movie was already out for like 4 months or something like that. And I had a night off. It was like a Saturday night. I wasn't working that night, so I was like, I'm gonna go to the movies by myself. I mean, this massive theater, there's like 3 people in it. The theater probably seats like 1,200 people. I still saw it by myself, and like I left, and I was like, what did I just see? I was like, what is it? What was that? But Pacific Rim, definitely. It was one of the best cinema experiences I ever had.
Wow.
Which is kind of funny because it's, people like Pacific Rim. Yeah, it's a great movie. It's a great movie.
Was when you saw, going on a tangent here, when you saw Matrix in that theater in Times Square, was this right around when Times Square was kind of cleaned up? I was actually just watching a video last night about how in the 70s and 80s, like Times Square was a total dumpster fire. Was it decent back then? Was it that time?
Yeah, I was living in Hell's Kitchen.
Oh, nice.
So I was 9th and 44th Street in New York City. And I was getting a sub from a guy who lives in Jersey. He's subletting it out to me.
Nice.
Actually, it was a great deal. It was like this railroad apartment. And it was like $350 a month. It's fabulous, man. Yeah, he like remodeled it and everything, but because they had rent control in some places, which I don't think they do much anymore.
Yeah. He
had this place since like 1968. So he was like $350, and you're like living in Times Square. I was like, dude, this is great for a 19-year-old, right? But no, Times Square was not too bad. I remember, because my father worked in New York City. He worked on 52nd Street when I was very young. He worked at a sound recording studio. Or studio instrument rental, SIR. So it was an instrument rental place with rehearsal spaces for musicians. So I remember coming in with him on Saturdays because we'd have to go through Times Square and then walk a few blocks over. And I remember seeing some pretty messed up stuff at like 6, 7, 8 years old.
Wow.
Like really, really, really messed up stuff going on the street.
Oof.
Then in being there at like 18, 19, and like 20, much different world. It was way more touristy. All the porn theaters were gone. All the adult bookstore places were gone. All the strip clubs and stuff were gone. But then also a lot of the drug dealing you didn't see as much in that area at that point. I'm sure it was there. I was never really into drugs. I have no idea where you would even go to get these things, right? But I didn't see any of that around. Didn't even see people like passed out in the street, which I see now. I've been to New York.
Yeah.
I went to go see a show. What did we go see? Oh, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. So I went and saw that with my wife and son. And we got a hotel, did like a Saturday night thing into Sunday and so on. And I remember smelling pot constantly smelling pot. People passed out on the street. I've seen garbage piled up. It was just like, it was a lot different going on, like, 18, 20 years later. And yeah, I get it, things change, but it was not the same type of environment. I mean, I've seen a lot of these cannabis shops opening up around there too.
Yeah.
And people can say whatever they want, but drugs are still drugs.
Yeah, I agree.
That's just, and not, I mean, making anybody right or wrong. It's just a drug is a drug, and that's what that is.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a lot different in the 90s.
Wow.
And then you had a bit of a police state, though. You had Giuliani as a mayor at the time
Yeah.
in New York, and he's definitely like trying to bring tourism up and create these safe pointing some areas. I don't disagree with the fact that he did that.
No.
I do not. Not pushing any politics one way or the other, but it was really not okay.
Yeah.
New York is a wonderfully cool city. It's I love living there. I grew up on Long Island. I loved living in New York City as a young man. I think the opportunities there are amazing. The culture is unbelievable. There's so much that has come out of that area. I mean, it is really the center of the universe in so many different ways. Like, of this planet, there's like a central hub for so much. So it's very powerful. There's a lot of power that comes out of that area. There's a lot that drives in those areas. And it's really sad to see things take a downturn where they have taken a downturn.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's sad to see people who, vacated the area pretty heavily over the last 4 years out of New York and coming up to Connecticut, or going into upstate New York,
Right.
Because they find like it's more affordable, it's safer, it's a place to raise a family, which is great. Okay, I get it. But I love that city. It's such a cool place.
Yeah. It maybe sound a little too romantic, but bouncing off of that, it's like I always look at New York. It's always supposed to be the city, kind of like you said, the center of the world. I think it's like leading. It's always supposed to be kind of like leading where society is going next, whether that be in film or in music or even in politics, technology. A lot of it seems to just come out of New York. And I feel like at least our country and even the rest of the world, we kind of like, it's been a city of like, yeah, we're counting on New York. We're counting on New York to like make a difference. Like, what's someone going to come out of here and do? And yeah, and for that to be the state of it now, where everyone's just trying to get out, and it's kind of turning back. Almost sounds like into that cesspool again that it once was, you know?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but it's not in a good condition at the moment.
Yeah.
And it has a certain responsibility, I think, to a lot of other places as like what people look to. People are like, I want to move to the United States. I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to start it in New York.
Right.
You know, and so you have between that and then you have LA, or these two kind of dream locations that people, you know, these romantic storybook ideas of like, I'm going to go these areas and make it. And there's something to be said for that, you know, and it has kind of a certain bit of a responsibility in that regard. You know, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Then when I was there in the 90s, God, the pizza, the bagels, the coffee in those little Greek cups you get from the stands. You didn't have no Starbucks like you do now in all these boutique coffee shops. You had shitty coffee with fucking bad cream, you know, and it was just like you eat it and you drink your coffee and you're like, this tastes terrible, but I gotta have another one. You know, like that's all you had for options.
Love it.
Pizza, bagels, God. I mean, I can't get good Chinese around here in Connecticut. Yeah. I rarely we come across a place that has like really good Chinese food.
Oh man.
I remember it was a really bad snowstorm in 2011. We lost power at our place for like a week. Middle of winter. I had a 2-year-old.
Oh, yeah, Hurricane Sandy, right? Is it?
No. Sandy was a year after.
That's right. Yeah.
No, it was an ice storm.
Yes, right.
It took out like tons of power across the state.
I remember this storm though, I think. Yeah. But
so my family lived on Long Island, so we had nowhere to go. You know, everybody's house was out and stuff like that. I got a kid and we're like swaddling him to keep him warm or freezing our asses off. It's like 25 degrees at night. I have no heat in my place. Excuse me. So I remember it was like a day or two after it happened, we ended up down on Long Island. And we had staying at my grandmother's house. My grandmother passed away. My family's still in the house. Nobody was there. They're like, yeah, go stay there. It's fine. So then we get there. The first thing I do though I tell them about Ashley. I'm like, you want to get Chinese food? I missed it so much. She's like, yeah, from where? I'm like, anywhere. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, just open the phone book. You know, I don't even think I had a cell phone then. So anyways, I opened the phone book and she's like, well, which one do you go to? I'm like, well, this one has the biggest ads, so call this one. We get it. She's like, oh my God, this is the best Chinese I ever had. I'm like, I know. It's like you get that in New York and Long Island and that cultural melting pot of so much access to things that are freaking amazing.
Yeah. You really
know, and it doesn't have to cost an arm and egg. It's like this like boutique-y place, you know, where it's just like, we're doing something so unique. You're like, all these, so many amazing places.
Oh, it's some of the best.
My grandmother used to go to this place, Pizza Roma in Hicksville. Sicilian pie. You like Sicilian pie, right?
Oh,
Dude, I know, right?
Yeah.
It takes like an hour to make. Right? So you'd order, you get this giant square pizza with this thick pizza, and it's just unbelievable. And it's just this little mom and pop place. I mean, it was like, you know, the son's working there making the pizza for you, and it's just fabulous, you know?
Love that. We should, on that note, we should get some food. We did about, 2 hours and 15 minutes here.
Fucking serious?
Yeah.
All right, I'm hungry. Let's go eat.
Me too. Let's close out with, maybe we'll plug A Squared maybe, and we can talk about, just like where to find Resonance Films Outliers maybe. Yeah.
All right, cool. So, what do you want me to say?
No, just any plugs, anything that you want people to know, like where to find you or anything you want to share. Yeah.
Okay. So the thing we're working on now, we have Outliers,
yes,
which is a full-on documentary we're in principle on right now, which has to do with the reasons why artists create the art that they do and how they create a livelihood for themselves with their work. And sharing really their personal, insightful viewpoints on who they are and what's driving them to continue and persist and have that tenacity, like we talked about. So, you know, we're at resonance_films_ at Instagram.
Yes. Yeah.
Which we got 2 underscores on there. 2 underscores. So you can see our trailers and work that's on that as well. And then I have A Squared Studio, which is my agency company, and we do web graphics and video photography and a whole slew of other type of support for people with their brand. Yeah. So it's asquaredstudio.com. That's our company.
Love it. Tremendous. Well, Alex Donovan, thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark.
We'll definitely do one of these again for sure.
Rock and roll.
Awesome. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Cool. That was fun.
Nice.